Smart 24, driving business.
Let your career journey be an adventure with us as we get to exploit various careers with different professionals who come in to indulge us when it comes to their experiences, their journeys, from sharing where it all started, the schools they went to, the achievements, and the challenges they have encountered. And with me today is the one and only Ibra Kayondo, the founder Trip Addicts. Thank you for joining me today, Ibra.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me as well.
Wow. For starters, you can take us back to the old good days. For example, what are the schools you went to?
Primary.
Yes, from primary.
Primary, I went to, before primary, I think kindergarten, I went to a school called Mother Care Primary School.
Okay.
Then from Mother Care, I went to a school in Ntungamo called Rashamie Republic. Okay. Then from Republic, that was around primary 1. Then I rejoined Mother Care. Left Mother Care, went to Little Angels Primary School, where I completed my primary level education.
Wow. As for O-level?
O-level, I went to senior 1. I wanted to go to Ontario school, but unfortunately I didn't. I then went to Namembe Hillside High School. Then Form 2, I went to Seta High, Green Campus.
Before you even go that far,
yeah.
Why did you want to go to Mtali?
It was just a boy's norm. But then, when I reached at the gate, as I went with my mother for submission, we actually went to Barra High School as well. I saw only boys. I was like, in my life, I've been much of a decision maker. So I was like, no. So both Mtari and Barra High School, I was like, no, because these were boys' schools, something I didn't personally advocate for, being in a boys' schools only. So that's why I didn't go for Ontario either or Barra High School.
Wow, so from Namirembe?
Yeah, Namirembe Hillside, that was Form 1. Form 2, I went to Seta High School, Green Campus. The reason why I left Namirembe was there were a lot of canes. So we reached at a point when I was in Form 1, they never used to write noisemakers anymore. So the teacher would come and it's like the usual people.
Ibra?
The usual people. So we were like about seven boys, because that's what actually our class monitor was a lady, they called class monitress, something like that. Yes. So she used to only write boys. So our class teacher was used to only boys. So it was, so from, caning the bum, they started caning, how can the legs, yeah. Okay. So I told Mom I'm not going back to Namembe Hillside. Though it was a good school, the teaching was perfect. It was an excellent school. Namembe Hillside, I don't know now, but then it was a top performer in the whole country. So from there I joined Seta High School, Green Campus, for my Form 2. So Seta, there were no canes as much as Namembe Hillside, but I left Seta High as well. So in Form 3 I went to Chambo College School. So from Chambo College School, that's from Form 3 to Form 6. So I found a niche. This is a day school where you can reason it out for yourself. There are no canes. You just have to be an adult like you are. You just have to think it through. You just have to be knowing that education is more important. So from Form 3 to Form 6, I completed both levels at Chambo College School. So that climaxed my secondary level.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, throughout your schooling and all that, let's say, okay, I think the right age for someone to even think about career guidance or anything is probably formed from Form 2 to Form 6, right? Where did you go to uni?
I went to International University of East Africa.
Okay.
IUEA.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you know how people have this mentality of maybe by the time you think about what you're supposed to be, okay, most people think probably from Form 3 to maybe campus. What was that stage whereby you thought to yourself and you're like, this is what I want to be in the future?
Actually, it is not from Form 3 when people start thinking about what they want to be in the future. It's actually from primary. Okay. So in primary, I really wanted to be a lawyer. Then why I didn't pursue that is because we had a lawyer as well in the family. As I went on growing up, we had a lawyer, so I was like, no. So I opted for engineering. That's from about Form 3. My mind was telling me about engineering. So luckily enough, I did the diploma in computer engineering, and I left things of school to be at that level.
What had made you think about being a lawyer in primary? What is that? What's that one memory you can tell us and you're like, this is what made me think of becoming a lawyer someday in the future?
Lawyers were respectable people, very respected actually. And as a career, being a lawyer then was something that was not so common actually. Then there's also one day, by those things, those pastors also. So I happened to visit the church because my mom is a Christian. So there's a pastor called Andrew. He's like, I don't know how they behave, but he's like, you're going to be a lawyer. So I envisioned myself being a lawyer because I even loved it. And this was the pastor also telling, people believe so much into that, telling me that you're going to be a lawyer in the future. And of course, it's still possible, but it's not something that I think about lately, being a lawyer. But that's what, of course, prompted me my whole primary level to think about being a lawyer.
Wow. How do we transit from wanting to be a lawyer to engineering now?
People that I studied with know how sharp I was. I was a very brilliant kid. So Form 3, so I was balancing home. Do we have an engineer, doctor? No. Okay. So we don't have someone who has taken sciences as a priority from home. So I was like, I'm going to give it a try myself. Since we have no engineer nor a doctor, I'm going to do it myself. So that's why I changed to actually being an engineer.
Oh, that's interesting. You talked about the pastor trying to boost your career when it came to law. Would you say the schools you went to maybe impacted who you are now in regards to your career?
Not really, but at some extent. See, schools in Uganda have been brainwashed to telling kids, you have to be a lawyer, you have to be an engineer, you have to be a doctor. They never even speak of, as you do high school, they never speak of businessman, like doing business of your own. So we have a tendency of schools teaching kids about paid employment. You have to go to school, then after school you look for a job, then that's how you can start earning. And actually almost all schools do this. But what impacted my career actually failed students in schools. So students, you obviously find students who are not that sharp. They start business as far as Form 3. They are doing business in school, selling a few items. So you're like, if this person is earning at this age, why should I be seeking a job when I finish school? That's why actually what I'm doing is not related to what I studied.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we're coming to that now, Ibra. So you said from school, school didn't impact what you had pursued from engineering.
School, but students in the school.
Themselves, right? So how about the community? The community you lived in, maybe home. Did maybe someone home entice you to carry on with the engineering career at some point?
Yeah, my mom, like I said, we have the whole society is sick to being to paid employment. all they want is you to study, get a job, actually look for a job and get that job, then continue with your life. But I impacted myself, I think 90%.
You pushed yourself.
Yeah, I pushed myself to what I am now, 90% of it. Of course, you'll have advice here and there, but if it's about impacting, it's myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting, because given that in today's society, for example, students or kids out there who maybe want to pursue careers in things like entertainment, drama, music, some parents believe that's not something you can pursue as a career. As an individual, you as Ibra, what would you have to say to our communities out there, to the parents, to the teachers that educate us in school? How would you urge them to help us embrace what we love to do in the future in regards to career?
Okay, the whole point is we have these co-curricular activities in schools, but I don't think they are given much attention
that's
it should be. Co-curricular activities should be actually a whole subject. If it's MDD, we have seen the ghetto kids put Uganda where it is as a brand. It pushes, these kids push this country actually more than doctors do, more than engineers are doing. But these are kids that are mostly into dancing, only actually dancing. So I think we should just go to school to enhance on knowledge, to enhance on how we think about different things, to see them in a different angle, but not necessarily telling people to be engineers, doctors. Because if you can see, even with the European countries, it's actually talent that earns more than even, what should I say, how do I call it, a job. Okay, talent is a job, but these, jobs you've gone to school for. So if you look at footballers, if you look at musicians, even here in Uganda, look at the musicians.
Yeah.
They are doing great for themselves, building mansions, putting up different projects. But this is just singing. So the whole thing should be changed, how we look at things.
Speaking of the education background in our country today, the other day I was just in with a friend and she talked about, it was just a random thought. I was like, by the Bronya, do you realize that, yes, most students from different countries, Nigeria, Kenya, name it all, they come to Uganda with this mindset of we have the good education, which is okay, right? But then she was like, we are burdened to some point. Okay, she gave me a thought of by senior 2, senior 3, we shouldn't study all those subjects. For example, by senior 2, I know I'm not good when it comes to biology. You get? What is your take? What is your comment to our education system today?
It is time wasting. We waste a lot of time on things you're not even going to help you in life. So it's more of time wasting. If you really want a kid to be an engineer, train them to being an engineer. You see that our education system gives you hands-on until you leave high school. So as an engineer, that means as an engineer you've wasted about 13 years, 6 years plus 7, plus about 3. Actually, that's 16 years you've wasted in just reading notes. If someone wants to be a mechanical engineer, we have categories, different categories. People who run machines in industries, the mechanics themselves on vehicles, train that kid as far as senior 3. Let them leave books, now they go to hands-on. So that would make an impact. But even lately we have engineers who have completed school, university level, that can't even operate a machine.
Yeah. We do so much of theory instead of practical.
So exactly, that's what I'm telling you. Me in my career as an operator, tourism operator, mostly domestic tourism, I don't even know what's in class as far as tourism is concerned. But I created an influence as far as domestic tourism is concerned. And how many numbers have we had because of an influence I created, because of something I just thought about that this as a Ugandan, as a fellow Ugandan, and then age bracket, I thought about how Ugandans behave, the behavior structure. I sat down and was like, how do I entice fellow youth to joining tourism? First of all, as tour operators, second, as clients. So this is all not taught even in school, because I've interacted with students of tourism. All they know is actually how to get a white, how to draw. They don't even know how to draw itineraries. It's something I think most jobs should be hands-on. You learn while on the job and don't waste time. As far as 16, 15 years, get this kid to starting practical, like real practical, not practical is okutunula mu girasi nga tukola physics as you look for one.
I'm really glad you talked about you studying your environment and knowing what you're supposed to do for like the young people, like something to entice them into the field. That's where being innovative comes in, which we lack most of the times in our generation today. I would love to ask Ibra, did you, given that you are a sharp kid like you mentioned, did you at some point feel overwhelmed by school, by the books you had? Since you had already set your mind that you wanted to pursue engineering, right? Did you at some point feel like, did you get that breakdown of I'm being overwhelmed with things that are not important to me?
Yeah, sure. Now, like in physics, when I was doing A-level, I really wanted to do electrical engineering because I was good at electricity. So I used to think, and I'm like, why am I doing mechanical engineering as paper one? I'm very good at electrical engineering. So results come through, I've only scored 4 points in physics. So I'm asking myself, I would have gotten an A first of all, according to our structure. If only they had that chance to kids, you can do electricity only. Then we groom you to being an electrical engineer. But you have to do mechanical, you have to do electricity, or what other two? There's overheat, something like that. There are 4 papers in physics. So you have to do all that. But you can't be good at all that.
Of course, yeah.
Even in engineering, you can't be good at civil, you be good at electrical, you be good at mechanical or computer engineering. No. If you're good, you'll be good at electrical. Let's concentrate there. These are things that even the teachers should be noticing by the time at least Form 5 is done. So that at Form 6 they ask you, yes, you have done all this. So in all these categories, which one would you like to offer? So that every kid has a chance. That's why actually we are not getting even the doctors, we are not getting engineers. Because
so you
of that
feel
reason.
like by Form 5, that's the right stage for someone to
according to what is on ground now, I think Form 5. But by Form 3, a kid should be having hands-on. Yeah.
Well, that's quite interesting. As career guidance remains a hustle in our country today, let's go in for a very short break. Just grab a snack or drink. We shall be right back.
Smart 24, driving business.
Luxury redefined at Seasand Hotel as you indulge in the splendor of elegant living fit for the royalty that you are. Step into comfort, pampering and blissful customer-centric service as you select from our range of comfy exquisite living quarters furnished to meet with your royal preference. Surrounded by scenic beauty, our tropical setting allows you to escape the glamorous ordeal of city life. Our ambient green gardens will guide you to a place of revitalizing rest. The 3-star restaurant caters to your palate, serving your choice menu ranging from exotic cuisines to local delicacies. Our chefs will serve you full course meals for a truly out-of-this-world culinary experience. Our fully stocked bar to whet your throat, from renowned global brand whisks, brandies, gins, beers and wines to our locally celebrated beverages, you will not lack for any brewage. It's an all-new experience in the East at Seasun Hotel. So visit today at plot 15 to 19 Spire Road, Ginger, or contact us on +256 751 719 960 and +256 785 354 614 for reservations. Seasun Hotels, luxury redefined.
Smart 24, driving business.
We'll be back from that short break as we continue our interesting conversation, and our guest was still giving us insights when it comes to career guidance in our country, given that we have so many loopholes today. So Ibra, we're still conversing about the education system. One would wonder, by the time you were at campus, do you feel like, okay, for now, let's try to give them credit. When you were at campus, did you study, whatever you studied, was it enough for you to get out there to compete in the field, in the world of work? Was it enough?
I don't know, because I've never done what I studied.
You didn't pursue, you didn't even try to apply for a job at any one point?
The only job I've ever gotten in my life was with UBC TV. So that's when I was employed my entire life.
That's interesting. I would love to know what happened after campus, after grad, what happened exactly? For example, why did you pursue what you had studied?
Because I was already having tripadix. Or I was already having, actually not tripadix as a brand, but I was already doing domestic tourism.
Wow.
Because I started doing domestic tourism in 2015. And that was actually my vacation.
Form 6 vacation.
Yeah, Form 6 vacation.
How creative of you. So one would wonder, by the way, here comes these questions. Given that most students are from graduating MOOC, what is your take or what is your opinion when one would ask you, how would you advise the students still in school? Do you think they should pursue their careers earlier, or they should just keep dreaming? I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer. What should they do? Should they indulge themselves in the field, or they should first seek career guidance?
Now, a lot of factors come into play. Of course, not everyone will become a business owner. It's also impossible. We still need doctors as a country. We still need good engineers. Look at the roads. We still need human resource. We still need all those kind of skills and knowledge. But at the same time, if you look at any country in the world, it's actually business-oriented people that run the country, because the economy is based on business. It's not based on hospitals. It's entirely based on business, how business actually runs. So that's why every country is actually apprehended by businessmen. And business in general. So if you have an opportunity, you can start wherever you are. You can still be a doctor and run a business. It's doable. You can still be an engineer and have a business as well. So I think, and we still have opportunities in the business world. You just need to be creative, and you do all this research, and you compete in the business market. It's not easy, but you compete. Like, you have to be creative, you have to seek advice here and there, you have to create connections as well. So all is that about business. Business is not about how much you've gone to school. No, it's about how much you really want to do it out there and challenge yourself. That's what business is all about.
Wow, given your story on how you started your tourism career, it has reminded me of this proverb of an early bird catches the worm. Because wow, by the time you study engineering, anyway, let me ask you, Ibra, do you sometimes feel like you should, okay, I know someone could be satisfied where they are,
Yeah.
okay, not satisfied, but you feel like you're okay, you want to grow what you're pursuing at the moment, right? Do you at some point feel like you need to maybe follow what you studied?
No,
Engineering? You've never thought about
I've never
that?
thought about, first of all, looking for a job, even creating business. It could be a
Is
business
that
of my
line?
own in
Yes.
that line. No, I've never thought about that. I think tourism is actually something that is very good that the world or that Uganda hasn't learned. Because if you look at Uganda, what we have to offer is tourism. We used to offer coffee as an export. You won't have England come here to pick our doctors. It's on a few occasions. There are good doctors. India is known for that. So if Uganda is known for nature, we used to be known for export of coffee, and now tourism earns more foreign exchange than coffee. That means we are known for, tourism is earning a lot of money for this country. That's what we need to be pushing as a country to the rest of the world, that look, we have this, we have this. We have Makshon, we have the source of the Nile is here, we have the second biggest water body, Lake Victoria, in the whole world.
Yeah.
To me, actually, it's the biggest. Abazungu bayagala just kutufukira abagezi, but Lake Victoria is actually the biggest, bigger than the superior lakes. So I think we should have focus on what we can do. We haven't had focus as a country.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So as you were jazzing me about the O-level and high school, think of you pursuing engineering as your career. One, you seemed like it came out of passion, right? So how come, what distinguishes the tourism thing to you pursuing engineering?
Actually, engineering didn't come out of passion.
Okay.
It came out of community. How many engineers do we have? You know, so and so's son is an engineer, and you know, so and so's son is a lawyer. So it's like, to make my parents proud, I would do just engineering. So
So you did it out of making your parents
yeah, it was
proud.
brilliant. If it's about passion, then at least being a lawyer was my passion, to be honest. Even now, sometimes I think about being a lawyer compared to what I actually studied, and yeah.
Do you plan to work on those dreams, on being a lawyer, to going back to school, maybe
I don't want to
upgrading?
study for 7 years, 6 years. It's time wasting. Then after studying, you have to look for a job. I would rather do any course to do with tourism.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what actually I want to work on, to just enhance my knowledge about what I think in relation to what the notes that were written by someone say. Because I've created this impact without this knowledge, so I want to know. I usually ask myself sometimes, but what exactly is in the notes that these tourism students study, that come out of into the field, and they can't create an impact, they can't create an influence.
I get your
So
point.
that's why I'm actually very inquisitive to do tourism, not because I lack the knowledge. No, I have the knowledge as far as tourism is concerned. I just have to enhance with more informed people. But if it's books, I'm just inquisitive, because you find a whole graduate of tourism can't draw an itinerary.
Yes.
You know, if it's about Uganda, they can't even tell you where Makshon Falls is. They can't entice someone to visit any destination. So those are things I think about mostly.
Okay, we talked about families impacting our career paths and the communities and societies, blah, blah, blah. So what is your take when it comes to mentorship? What's your opinion when it comes to mentorship today?
Mentorship. Oh, I think it's partially needed. You're a mentor of yourself. Even when you have the best mentor, you can't bring out the best. They will never see you the best. You just have to be challenging I do things different. You challenge yourself. Where do you want to see yourself next? When I say I want to be at a point where I can speak for domestic tourism and the whole country listens, that means I'm challenging myself.
Yeah.
Then not someone is going to give me as my mentor. And the same things like actually in class. So a mentor is supposed to be one person who should really come through for you when you need.
Okay.
Not necessarily every time going to tap on knowledge. That's what I think.
So it has to come in hand with the other benefits.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's your take when it comes to Uganda? Did you, to yourself as an individual, did you have a mentor back then at school?
Yeah, I had a mentor. I don't know whether I should call him a mentor, but I had someone
you looked up to,
who enhanced my knowledge. That was my primary teacher, actually head teacher. Even still now, he's called Mr. Nwaga Alfred. Even now, he's the person I look up to. Not because he has a lot of money, but he's very sharp, he's very knowledgeable. He's outspoken. He's this one person who challenges himself daily, you know, provided he's a head teacher, but now he has a lot of things he runs, but from teaching. So those are things I really want to look up to and be like, if this person can make it. I don't want a professor to be my mentor. I find someone who's already a professor and they're doing good and they're mentoring me. No, I want someone who I have seen make it, like physically make it.
Okay.
So those ones, they would mentor me hands down. Yeah, hands on. So those are the people I look up to actually. Like I want to see real work. That's why I also do real work, hands on.
Wow. So every career, Ibra, is marked by various challenges we encounter. What are some of the obstacles or hurdles you could name and you're like, these have really hit me so hard going through my career from that time I started to where I am today?
You'll be shocked when I started travel or tourism. First of all, I didn't know that we had even a ministry of tourism.
Wow.
It's something that I was passionate about. I used to read about animals when I was in primary. Even I had a vision. I don't know whether my notes are still kept at my primary school. I used to write about cheetahs. I love leopards. I used to read about leopards. Provided then in my primary, something that enhanced me actually to loving tourism. At Little Angels, we used to do these trips quite often. Lake Borough, we go to Queen Elizabeth. So I just fell in love with the animals. So when I started doing now the domestic tourism, it's not necessary that I wanted to lead. No, I wanted to have fellow young people who couldn't afford 250. So what I used to do, I used to get like 10 people, I tell them, you know what guys, we are going to share costs.
Okay, so you would fix the budget.
Yes, we are going to share costs. This is how much we need. So I be a leader in that moment. I call the hotel, get to know how much, where we are going to sleep. I even call like Borough direct. I get to know how much it is to enter the park. So I come up with a figure. I even look for a vehicle. So I did that. I kept on doing that. Then someone was like, you know, you can start up a brand that is tourism oriented and this is how you have to do it. You have to register. I was like, hey, there's even these things of registering. I was like, you guys even have a ministry. I was like, wow. If we have a ministry and this is what they do. They're not even in schools. I used to belong to Wildlife Club in high school. I never saw a Chamber College. We never had visitors from UA. We never had visitors from the ministry to enlighten us more. It was all about Kadanke. As long as Wildlife Club, we have those days for Kadanke, it's done.
You also never used to have these other different mentors from different fields of work?
No,
like
we used
doctors.
to have, that was in Namembe Hillside. We used to have it's one major called, I don't remember his name, Ranga, something like that. He used to come through at Namembe Hillside. Even at Chamber College, we used to have career guidance days. But they're not exhausting.
It wasn't impactful.
Someone just, it's like they're there for swag. Your hobbies just come, I'm doing engineering, you clap. They don't tell you more. So at school, they don't bring people who are doing tourism. They don't bring us businessmen, prominent businessmen. And Chambo College has a good products of businessmen, journalists who have made it in life, people who are doing tourism. So they used to look into only people who are doctors, engineers. Not everyone is going to be a lawyer. That's the honest truth. Not everyone is going to be an engineer. Like I said, it's actually the business world that supports the economy of the country. So entice more people to create employment for themselves. Tell them how is it. That's why I'm telling you, the moment I started doing domestic tourism, very many young people around me got what we call hands-on, chisoboka. They used to think tourism was for, you have to be rich.
Yeah.
So I changed the mentality. That's what I usually tell, even when I'm conversing with people in agriculture. I tell them, if you ever want to promote any product in Uganda, get a youth, build them. After building them, if it's about planting coffee, make us believe that this 19-year-old or 20-year-old started from zero, got his acre of land, maybe hired it, and this is how far they have come.
Yeah,
they will be interested
stories.
Also do coffee planting, because I've seen something, but not things of going to conferences now and then. The people you're bringing have been doing farming for 50 years. So the youth don't relate with them, that's what I can say. And
given that it's the highest percentage in our
exactly,
country.
and this is the highest population percentage are the youth. So what we know, we will keep on looking for jobs, and wowing people who are doing better.
Yeah.
But it's about having a starting point. If I had not started, then maybe I would not have influenced some people. But look at where we are in terms of domestic tourism now. Yeah, we have a few challenges that need a little bit of polishing, because very many young people have gotten involved into domestic tourism. But at the other hand, positive way, it shows you that they have known something we didn't know. Someone has had an influence on them. Let that person talk to them always. Even you tell UTB, don't force these guys. Don't show that if you don't register, these are the consequences. No, show them the positive side. If you register, you know what, guys, we have Kayondo, we have a few people, yes, we have Wakan on board. Let them talk to you, guys, you need to register. It's like going to the ghetto. You need the person in the ghetto to talk to the ghetto people.
In their own language.
Yes, in their language they understand. They will even give you more ears.
Yeah.
But if you take your Luzungu there, people won't register and they will keep doing what they are doing.
I get your point.
Yes.
Wow. So given some of the few challenges you've mentioned, what are those qualities you embraced yourself with as a person as you are growing into your different career paths, as you've shared with us? What are those qualities you mentioned and you're like, this pushed me harder and harder, this helped me at my lowest times? What are those qualities you'd maybe want our dear viewer to also learn from?
Honesty.
Okay.
In tourism, you have to be very honest. Whether you go get or not, but you have to be very honest with clients if you want to create an impact. These are being creative. Those are they are there. There's a few characters that help you out, but being honest, then I have a lot of confidence. I can speak to anyone at a given time. I've been having those conversations with people from the ministry. Wherever I find them, I tell them what's not going right. And if they're doing something great, I still tell them, you guys, here you're scoring the points. Because at the end of it all, this is our money as Ugandans, taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
So every time I put that in mind, I have the confidence to go after them and tell them, you know what, guys, stop eating money in that way. This is what needs to be done. From what I think. If you think it's not right, it's up to you. But from the influence I've had in domestic tourism, this is what needs to be done. Because actually, if you look at the structure of domestic tourism, there are no old people.
Yeah.
Very few. most companies that are 20 years, 25 years old, 15, they are all doing inbound tourism. Because inbound has a lot of money. Domestic tourism is you do it because you love it, or you do it because maybe someone is doing it you look up to, but it's not something that will give you a lot of money. But yet it's impactful. If you look at the vehicles we hire, if you look at the fuel, we keep the lodges running because for it has no seasons. Domestic tourism has no seasons. It's all way round. So we keep the lodges running. We support other sectors, day in, day out of the economy. So it is something, even in school, people are doing tourism. They never study about domestic tourism in particular. Even at the UTB level. If this is a baby you're trying to grow, why don't we have a docket for domestic tourism? People who understand domestic tourism to think for it.
Oh, yeah.
Even at the ministry, we don't have a docket for domestic tourism. We just have these campaigns that are mushrooming anyhow, that are being done anyhow. But we don't have thinkers that think for domestic tourism all way out. So it's something that we lack as a country. Yeah, we are trying to promote domestic tourism, but we don't have thinkers for it, and they're not appreciated as well.
Wow. Wonderful. As you look back on your career journey, Ibra, what are the milestones or what are those memorable achievements you really could share with us and you're like, I've achieved this when it came to my career or something?
Yeah, career-wise, around 2021, when the Janzi Awards were around and Tripadis won the Best Domestic Tourism Award, I felt very appreciated. Once I felt very happy.
Wow.
I felt like I've been appreciated.
Noticed.
Yes, and domestic tourism in general has been appreciated, having a category of tour operators who are doing domestic tourism. Something I looked up and was like, yes, I think we are headed in the right way. Then other few things are just personal benefits that I've gotten from Trip Addicts. I have been recognized personally. I'm having
a full brand,
a full brand, a national importance somewhere. If I'm being called upon on such televisions to have, to speak about career and to speak about domestic tourism. So I've grown as a brand, something that is important to me. If you leave a legacy, it's far better than leaving a lot of money.
Wow, that's a new whole line. Anyway, as we are wrapping up our interesting conversation, Ibra, what are some of the enlightening moments you would maybe love to share with our dear viewer? Like, okay, giving examples from what you experienced. What are those moments you love to share with our viewer to make them be more persistent out there, to be more patient, to push harder no matter the difficulties they encounter, to make sure they also have a so-called successful career path in their lives?
Well, one thing I can tell them is to always appreciate the environment they're in. Those are your people. When you come into domestic tourism at this time, let's say, don't necessarily look for me. I'll just tell you what needs to be done. And I won't do much for you as a person, however much I may be influencing you, but you need to appreciate the environment you're in. Those are the people that keep you going. Those are the people that support you. Even the small businesses, the retail shops. Before you look for deal, to get knowledge from him, if you've already started a retail shop, first get a few of your fellow retail, shoppers or people who have shops or businessmen. Find a way out, appreciate your customers. That's why there's no formula to making money other than working. Let them not tell you sentence tourism worker, sentence engineering worker. Everyone in every sector, you ever find a rich person in that sector, and you actually find a poor one still in that sector. So what I'm saying, as far as I can tell people, is appreciate your passions, then see how to grow them into a career or ventures. Then otherwise create connections. It's day by day, it's step by step. Now, if I have the connections in the ministry, it's not how I was 3 years ago. It's not what I'm going to be. You never know where I will be in the next 3 years. I may be the state minister for tourism. Kidding. But what I'm trying to show you is it's step by step. You grow yourself into a brand. You grow yourself into a brand.
Wow, so Ibra, you talked about leaving a legacy behind. How would you advise our viewer in the sense of how would you enable them envision themselves leaving a legacy that will not only contribute to them and maybe personal benefits, but also to the communities and our country at large?
Well, every person created into a venture, you're contributing to the country because you're taxed one or the other, or you're supporting another sector. So all I can tell my fellow youth is if you work for 6 months looking for a job and it's not there, look for a skill that is hands-on. It's very important. Do graphics. Every company now in Uganda is doing graphics, branding. That means every company either has a graphics designer on board or they outsource a graphic designer. Have these skills. You've seen photographers. Like, have a skill. It's very important. Not only looking for a job. Have a skill. Do anything as long as, because may I look at graphic designers now. Each artwork is charged 50K. How, if in a week you can produce about 10, that's 500,000. Just something that people don't see. Let it be even digital influencing. People are earning a living from digital influencing, Twitter influencers, and they're creating actual an impact as well. So that's very important. A skill.
Okay, well, as we conclude, Ibra, as a professional in the tourism field, right? How do you manage to balance the demands of your career and your personal life?
I'm not married, so the biggest percentage of my time would be requested by a wife, but since I'm not yet married, I think I manage that way. So my life is my life. We don't share life with anyone. I don't share my time with anyone. So I share most of my time with my friends and tourism. Yeah.
Wow, wonderful. Anyway, I'll give you this chance to maybe say a few beautiful words of encouragement to our dear viewer, probably one that is interested in pursuing the tourism career.
Let no one tell you can't do it. That's one thing I believe in. And let no one, we have very many wiseacres in the field of tourism that will bring out all these words. I usually see them on Twitter downplaying some new young guys in the industry. One thing I can tell you is let no one speak any technical terms and you're overshaken. No. Go out there, seek for advice maybe from any friend who is doing tourism, mostly if you're into domestic tourism, because the way it operates is different from the way inbound operates. So if you get at least some advice, the quotation, these guys have helped you run the quotation, have them on board on your first trip. Let them be running it for you as a brand, but you're the one behind it. So market your trip, get Ugandans, take them to different destinations. Let no one tell you, Manya this, Manya you can't do it. No, everyone can do it and do it even better than the previous people. Yeah.
Well, anyways, as they usually say, the early bird catches the worm, but still, the persistent one builds a successful and thriving career. Well, as we conclude this enlightening session, it has been a wonderful conversation.
Sure.
Allow me extend my sincere gratitude to our guest Ibra Kayondo, Trip Addicts. Thank you for sharing with us with your invaluable insights.
You're welcome.
It was really eye-opening, it was educative, it was interesting in all ways. Thank you so much.
I think it was more of reality.
Yeah, reality.
Yeah.
There are no corners.
Yeah.
Yes, wow. Yes, so until next time, ciao.
Smart 24, driving business. Smart 24, driving business.
Happy New Year, our tech lovers, and welcome to 2024. Now, this year we begin with a report on Tesla. Now, we have a report that Tesla has been reported to have 4,855,000 deliveries for the fourth quarter, bringing 2023 total to 1.8 million. Now, Tesla just reported fourth quarter vehicle production and deliveries for 2023, and during the company's third quarter earnings call in October, the CEO Elon Musk said that the Model Y was likely to be the best-selling car on earth, but not just in revenue, but in unit volume this year. Now, the company previously offered guidance that it would notch at least 1.8 million deliveries for the full year in 2023. In its last earnings call in October 2023, Tesla Exes offered guidance that the company would notch at least 1.8 million deliveries for the full year 2023, a number they had revised down from a 2 million goal earlier. Now, analysts had expected Tesla to report deliveries of about 4,777,000 for the year-ending quarter, according to a consensus of estimates compiled by Street Account as of December 28, 2023. Now, deliveries are the closest approximation of sales reported by Tesla, but are not precisely defined in the company's shareholder communications. Now, during third quarter earnings call in October, Tesla CEO Musk once again said that the company's Model Y was likely to be the best-selling car on earth, but not just in revenue, but in unit volume for the full year 2023. Now, Tesla does not break out delivery and production numbers by individual model, but also with report combined numbers. Now, Tesla produced over 47,677 Model 3 and Model Y vehicles during the quarter and reported about 461,538 deliveries for these models. It did not break down Model S or X production or delivery numbers. Instead, it batched them up into other models, which produced about 18,212 other models and delivered 22,969 during the quarter. Now, when asked about 2024, this is what the CEO had to say. Now, the CEO, of course, delivered and said, outlook for deliveries on the company's last earnings call. Musk said that at the risk of stating the obvious, it is not possible to have a compound growth rate of 50% forever, or you will exceed the mass of the known universe. But I think we'll grow very rapidly, which will be much faster than any other car company on earth by far by 2024 closes. And he continued to say that Tesla is now focused on growing their volumes in a very cost-efficient manner and will provide 2024 guidance on the next earnings call, said Elon Musk, who is the CEO of Tesla. Ladies and gentlemen, for those that have been watching the Tech Bite, that is all we had as we open 2024. Enjoy and take care. Thank you.
Smart 24, driving business.
This is Jordan. When it comes to classwork, Jordan is magic. Jordan shines. Jordan makes his peers better. Jordan is a true leader. White Star Magic Family. Be a leader. Be magic.
Everybody for you. I did just shake below. But it's not one tell.
Smart 24, driving business.
Welcome to the Fidelis Leadership Institute. My name is Grace Nafuna and I am here for another series of our Fat Talks. Together with me is our wonderful guest, Rebecca Kundakwe, who is a gender specialist with GROW, the GROW Fund, under the Private Sector Foundation Uganda. Welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you, Grace.
Kindly tell me more about yourself.
Thank you so much. My name is Rebecca, as Kelly put it, and I'm a gender professional currently serving with the Private Sector Foundation in Uganda. But I'm also a certified gender auditor for private sector enterprises. So basically it's to make sure that the private sector implements good business in a gender responsive way.
Right.
And I'm happy to be here.
Right. Tell us more about, how would you get into the private sector space? What has the journey been like?
It's been a journey of, first of all, commitment to move and create impact. So I've been in different sectors. I've been in the non-profit space. I'm now in the private sector. But for me, the drive is around how do you create social impact, change lives, and positively contribute towards national development. I've also had the opportunity to feature in Uganda's top 40 under 40 this year, just run by the New Vision.
Right.
And so the journey has also involved lots of focus on personal growth. That's been intentional in ensuring that you recognize that these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses, and then you take it positive and work on improving them. Next to personal growth has been professional development. And one of the things I would tell any professional out there is that every day you have to invest on making yourself better. I'm currently doing my PhD in business administration. I'm focusing on
that's very impressive.
And so for me, I carry all that knowledge and exposure into my role as a gender specialist and also supporting the private sector to grow their businesses.
Right. Thank you very much. Now that you've talked about the private sector, what does private sector development entail, especially under PSFU?
Yeah, thank you so much. So first, I think it's good to talk about who we are as the Private Sector Foundation Uganda. Right. We are an apex body for private sector institutions in this country. And we have a membership of over 300 business associations and reaching over 2 million individual businesses in this country. So we work in all sectors of the economy. And we have a good representation of who our members are. But our slogan is that business growth is our business. So every day we wake up in the morning and sit on our desks or move wherever we go, we are looking at how we support a man or a woman doing business, grow their business, transit from one level to another, increase their turnover, deal with issues of cost and loss, but also provide opportunities for the Ugandan business sector to grow their markets, to grow their sales, and then to earn, of course, revenue and contribute towards national development. So that said, private sector development then is a very critical aspect for us. And as the Private Sector Foundation, we also work with key public sector agencies.
Okay.
And so private sector development is integrated in the National Development Plan as a key pillar. And so with that, we recognize that as the private sector, we contribute towards job creation, contribute towards now gross domestic product, we contribute towards ensuring that there is social welfare among the citizens. You have seen lots of the private sector companies engage in what they call CSR.
Yes.
Corporate social responsibility.
Yes.
But we've also seen most private sector companies actually have foundations or the philanthropy part of it. And all that is meant to ensure that whatever business we do as a private sector also has social impact on the citizens. But largely we exist to make sure that there's revenue in the country. We pay a lot of taxes in the private sector, but also we employ closely to over 70% of the population in this country.
Right.
We are next to the public sector in terms of creating job opportunities.
Job opportunities. This is excellent, and I'm very impressed with the work that PSFU is doing. I mean, I had an idea, but now it has more detail to it, which I greatly appreciate. What would you say is the state of businesses in Uganda?
Of course, when you're discussing the state of business in this country, you also have to pay attention to the trends that have been going on post-colonial period, post-independence. And then you look at the current trends going on. We have to talk about the socio-economic occurrences, and the very latest one is COVID-19. So the state of business is that it's progressive, but we still see the trickle-down effect, and especially the negative effects of COVID-19 impacting businesses in this country. That said, we see lots of opportunities in terms of regional markets, international markets. There has been lots of support by the government institutions in terms of opening up business and markets outside the country. As the private sector foundation in Uganda, we coordinate what we call business summits with our neighboring countries outside the continent. And the idea is to make sure that businesses here, the private companies here, can access market outside Uganda. So the state of business is, it's kind of a mix. It's progressive, but it's also experiencing lots of shortfalls. One of the other key issues within the state of business is the potential for growth, by the way, and stability in terms of revenue growth, especially with the interventions that came in after the COVID-19 period, both by the government but also private sector institutions like ourselves. And so the focus still remains on how do you support these businesses to thrive, not to survive,
but to thrive.
We are aiming at helping businesses transit. We are aiming at helping businesses penetrate more markets. We aim at supporting businesses improve on the quality of the products that they produce. And quality is so important here because if we look at the fact that we're exploring international markets, issues of certification become very critical. We've had some challenges in terms of perceptions about the Ugandan goods. So as the private sector foundation in Uganda, we keep supporting our members to improve the quality of their services, to do quality assurance strategies, to undergo certification, but also working with government agencies to ensure compliance. When you talk about compliance, of course, it usually comes with restrictions with the private sector. So we do it in a way that we advocate for an enabling environment for businesses to operate, but still in a compliant way. That's what I can say about the state of business. And then in terms of where we see the men and women in the businesses, of course we are still a patriarchal society, and we see lots of male-owned businesses being among the large firms. Over 17% of the large firms are only owned by women in this country. But we see more small and medium enterprises, a big number being owned by women. And what does that mean for us as the private sector? It means that when you're doing support services, business development services for these businesses in this country, we have to take note of the fact that there are differences between the male-owned and female-owned businesses. And their needs will be different, the kind of support they would need. And we are not only saying we support, let's say, female-owned businesses, we support the male-owned businesses, but also try to work out a mentorship and networking methodology that allows even the females move into what we call the male-dominated sectors. Which are usually the more profit-making. In fact, we have a very big focus on supporting women-led businesses in this country. But also, as we do that, I think it's important to note that we are not saying we're not supporting male businesses. We are prioritizing those male-led businesses. But overall, all our support services in terms of a neighboring environment benefits all the private sector players, whether owned by male or female.
Excellent. And I think also one of the things that struck out to me in terms of statistics is that our businesses are not sustainable.
Beyond 5
Yeah,
years.
they don't make their 5th birthday.
Yeah.
So what do you have to say about that? What are some of the issues that have held back SMEs in Uganda?
Yeah. That's a very interesting topic because my doctoral study is actually around
Okay.
SMEs.
Right.
But one of the issues we see is it begins from the culture of entrepreneurship in this country. I think while the Mastercard Foundation Economic Index rates us as one of the countries with the highest entrepreneurship rate, like on each day, Ugandan will think of starting a new business,
Right.
providing a different service. We don't have yet the resilience and the zeal to sustain these businesses. So it's about the entrepreneurship culture that we have in this country.
Right.
The second factor is around the support system.
Right.
So you wake up and start a business in a given area, but you don't do enough market research. Then after investing lots of startup capital, you realize that maybe this is not sustainable or I can't manage these costs and so on, and then you leave. But if you have done a market research, we find that there are SMEs, there are companies that do market research, and over time, despite the challenges, they are able to survive, to stay in, and within 3 years, they take off, because it's also a journey. The other issue contributing towards low survival rate for businesses is the tax regime.
Right. Right.
And it's such a contentious issue, I know, but what, for example, institutions like private sector foundation advocating for is the whole discussion around the startup policy. How can government provide an enabling environment for startups, for businesses that are trying to be incubated, survive in terms of reduced tax burden, in terms of compliance? How do government institutions actually come in to support and enhance the work of some of these small businesses to be able to celebrate their birthdays? But also for us as the private sector foundation, we've done a lot of investment, of course, especially with the support of the government of the Republic of Uganda, for which we are grateful for. We are implementing lots of projects that provide business development services, that provide entrepreneurial services to help these businesses thrive.
Right.
From simple things like how you're managing your finances in the business. Are you separating business money
from personal?
Yes,
money? Yes, that's
how
very
are you
pertinent.
keeping your records in terms of this is the cost on raw materials, this is my cost of production,
Right.
this is the revenue I'm getting from sales. So actually the business money is the cost of production minus the sales, the revenue.
Right.
So we are doing lots of interventions to support these businesses grow, but also we are trying to invest in what we call market research to understand and give information to the entrepreneurs in this country in some of the most profitable businesses, or even if they have to go to each type of sector, what are the considerations? And that takes me back to the point I made that as the private sector work in different sectors. So in that we have what we call sector associations. Let's talk about the one on tourism, construction, agriculture. So those groups engage in technical discussions, real life business issues that can help their members maneuver through some of the challenges. So that's part of the way of creating an enabling environment in addition to advocacy. So the benefit we see in that is that business people, entrepreneurs in the same field are able to connect and learn from each other. And get access to information on the markets, on the sources of raw materials, on the service providers that actually provide quality services. So with that, we are trying to respond to the issue of businesses not surviving. Yeah.
And I'd like that you mentioned partnerships both for the PSFU and also within the business ecosystem. You can only do so much, alone. But if businesses, especially for women entrepreneurs, but also I see that you have partners beyond Uganda.
Yes.
You're part of the COMESA and the East African Business Council. Kindly shed more light on that.
Yes, so like I said, the Private Sector Foundation represents as an apex body of the private sector companies in this country. And we know that Uganda is part of so many regional and international bodies. So by that, we carry the mandate of representing the private sector in all those spaces. We've talked about COMESA, the East African community, there's the one at regional level, continental level, even globally. So what we are trying to do particularly is the issue of markets, it's the issue of attracting investors.
Right.
Back to the percentages and numbers around businesses in this country, they can only thrive if they get sometimes social investors, or if they get partnerships that are interested in working with them, and this does not have to be in the country. So as PSFU, we play a very big role. We take leadership in trying to open up some of these opportunities for our members, but also we support private sector companies. We encourage private sector companies to take part in international expos, international business conferences, not to go and learn, but also to actually network. And we actually encourage private sector members, when you go with a target, if you're into construction, if you're into real estate, if you're into tourism in agriculture, and we also provide what we call data on who are the market leaders in a given sector. If, for example, it's tourism, maybe it's the UK. So how do you ensure that you build networks with sister agencies, with other private sector leaders in a given country?
Right. No, that's very clever. So how does PSFU maintain institutionalized dialogue with the government of Uganda? You've hinted on that. It's you advocacy and policy, but perhaps you could shed more light. Yeah.
One key fact is that as the private sector foundation, we are a key and one of the trusted implementing partners for most on some of the government of Uganda funded projects and programs. And we've gained this stature over the years. So you realize that, but also the National Development Plan recognizes public-private partnerships. Even in the scholarly world, there's a recognition on the importance of public-private partnerships. Because globally, it's been difficult for governments to provide both social and economic services on their own. So we believe in the same model as PSFU, and as a fact, we work closely with major public sector agencies in this country, and we also try to kind of ensure a cordial relationship between the private sector and the public sector, especially where compliance issues come in, especially where, let's talk about taxation, especially where there's always different priorities. As private sector, we want to make profit.
Yes.
But then as the public sector, we want to provide social services.
Yes.
And so over time, we've learned to say, how do we work in a partnership, in a collaboration that does not disentangle each of our best priorities, our major foundations for profit maximization, profit generation, and social service delivery. So work very well with the government of Uganda, implementing some projects, but also in different collaborative interventions.
Excellent. You are very articulate on this. I can see that you've done it for a while. So the other question is, in what ways is PSFU working with the UNDP to support private sector development? I think the UNDP and MasterCard have been key.
They're one of our co-partners.
Right, but also the World Bank. So perhaps you could shed more light.
That's a very interesting discussion because, like I mentioned, the private sector, we are able to support businesses grow because we have the support of development partners. And namely, I've clearly pointed out the UNDP, which has been a partner of PSFU for so many years, in terms of promoting issues around trade, cross-border trade, but also ensuring that countries can actually break barriers that hinder us from accessing markets and getting knowledge from other countries, the FCTA program. But also the UNDP has been fundamental in supporting the gender-responsive aspect of the private sector. So they run this program called the Gender Equality Seal, together with the Ministry of Gender, the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Gender and the private sector. And we aim at supporting the business community, do good business. And we have slogans like, it's only good business if it's human sensitive. If it's gender sensitive and so on. And through the intervention of the Gender Equality Seal, for example, we've had over 90 companies adopt and undergo